Hello cherry lovers. Today I'm going to be making juicy miniature apple pies, so stay tuned. Okay guys, we're going to go over the ingredients really quick here. I'm using a 3-pound bag of McIntosh apples. You can use Granny Smith. You can use a mixture with like the Honeycrisp and Granny Smith. Larry likes McIntosh. That's his favorite apple. So he asked me if I would use the McIntosh for his apple pie. So I'm making these miniature apple pies with the McIntosh. The 3-pound bag actually equals about 7 cups of diced apples. So that's what you will be using for your apples. And the next thing you want is a tablespoon of lemon juice. You have here a 1/2 cup of sugar. You're going to be using also a 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar. You will be using a teaspoon of cinnamon and a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. And over here is a half a stick of, let's see, we're going to use salted butter, and it's chopped into individual pieces for your apple pie because you're going to lay that on top of your apple pie. I want to show you something real quick with the apples. Try to remember, if you're using apple peeler, that's fine, but just remember when you peel this apple, I'm going to try to leave some pieces on there, and you finish peeling the apple, you want to make sure that you don't leave any pieces. I've seen people leave those pieces, and I've actually chopped down on one, and it's not very tasty. So as you can see here, you want to get all of that out. You want to remove all of the peel. That little plastic piece right there in the center, you want to make sure all of that is gone. And there's that little plastic piece too. You can see that right where the seed is. You want to make sure you remove all of that. It's easier if you just quarter the apple and then make sure you get all of the peel, because sometimes parts of the peel will be there. You don't want that in your pie. This one is small enough where you can just cut into there, and there you go. So you've got that all cut up. Now, the other thing I wanted to say is I wash my apples once I finish chopping them all up. Make sure that you dry them completely, because if you just take your washed apples and put them in the bowl, you're going to have a lot more liquid. You don't want that. You're already going to have sufficient liquid for your apple pie. So make sure you remove all the liquid after washing your apples or rinsing them to make sure you don't get extra juice. Okay, now the other thing over here, I'm going to show you how to use the muffin tins for the miniature apple pies, and I'm also going to show you how to use just a single. These right here, you can get them on Amazon. I got them at my the grocery store here where I live. They had those sizes, so you can use either size, or you can even use the ones that are a little bit bigger. But I'm going to show you these two, and they're really, really neat. They're really cute. And then I'm going to show you how to make the lattice work for the apple pie, and it's pretty cool. So we've got all of the ingredients here. Next step is to show you how to combine it, because it's one step I'm going to be doing that most of the time you don't do. So stay tuned. Okay guys, I've added in here the brown sugar, the white sugar, the cinnamon, and the nutmeg. Now, one thing that I didn't add, you're going to add in with your sugar, your nutmeg, your cinnamon, and your brown sugar, 1/4 cup of flour, all-purpose flour. And all of those ingredients are mixed in this bowl. You just want to mix that up really good. Okay guys, you want to take a tablespoon of lemon juice, and you want to pour that evenly as much as possible over your apples, and then just mix that up with your apples, completely coating them. Okay, and the next thing you want to do is you got your brown sugar, white sugar, cinnamon, and nutmeg mixture, and your flour, your 1/4 cup flour. Then you just want to kind of add your apples, coat the apples in your mixture really well. And then you want to put the rest of them in here. And then you just want to coat the rest of that in there. Coat your apples really good. This will probably take, well, about a minute, maybe less than a minute. Just coat that. Make sure the apples are completely coated. And once you finish making sure that all your apples are completely coated in the brown sugar mixture, then let it sit for approximately 15 to 20 minutes. It's going to develop liquid. You will see the liquid in the bottom. That's perfectly okay. But you do want this to sit there for about 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm going to finish stirring this up, and then I'm going to come back and show you the section that you don't usually do with apple pies, but this one works really well with this one. So stay tuned. Okay guys, the next step that we're going to do here is something I don't usually make with my apple pies, but I'm going to on the mini apple pies, and I'll explain to you shortly why. You want to put about 2 tablespoons of butter in your pot, let it completely melt, and as you can see the butter is melted, and then you want to add your apples that you let soak for 15 to 20 minutes into that butter, and then you're going to let that cook for about 4 to 6 minutes. And don't start your timer until you get at least a tiny bit of simmer. At least let the apples get warmed, and then let them cook for about 4 to 6 minutes. And you don't want it to be boiling or anything, but you want it to come to a nice simmer for your 4 to 6 minutes. So let it come to a small simmer, and then let it sit for 4 to 6 minutes, and then I'll be back to show you the rest. Okay guys, the first thing you want to do is preheat your oven. Preheat your oven to 375, unless of course your ovens have to be a different temperature, because mine has to be a different temperature. I have to set it based on my oven temperature, so set it based on yours. But 375 is what you want to bake these at. And I've already put a couple in here, as you can see, and I wanted to show you the different pastry cuts. This right here is something I ordered from Amazon, and it's a pastry cutter. You can make it for large pies or small pies, but I used it to make these, and I'm going to show you how a couple of them, what they look like. And I also did some in the mini muffin tin, but also the aluminum tin. You can make them in that size. They actually have these smaller and larger, so depending on whatever you want to make. Now what we're going to do is to show you simply do not overfill these. That's one of the things that I learned the hard way. Don't fill them to the top, just below the edge. You just want them below. And see, that's a little too much. We're going to take that out and put it over here. So fill your cups just below the rim. And in the tins, these measure from side to side. They measure 3 inches. Actually 3.5 inches, that's what it was. So they can come up a little bit over the top. So you want to get that just below the edge when you fill the cups. And the batch that we made is enough to actually fill 12 cups. And I'm just going to do the 6 cups on camera. Now we've got that just below the edge. Now the next thing you want to do, this is one of the pie crust made from that metal pastry cutter. You want to put that right on top and kind of pinch your edges together. This is such a delicious, cute little recipe. I love them. Larry loves them. My kids love them. They're delicious. Now the next thing I wanted to show you is on here. You can take this. I'm just going to put the whole big pie crust on here, hoping that it doesn't fall apart on me here, because I've had this sitting for a few minutes. But you can take the whole pie crust. Well, that's actually going to work, even though a piece fell off. You want to seal that to the edges. Pinch it together. And you know what I forgot to do, but that's okay. I'll put it right on top. I'll put these over here. The butter actually goes right on top of each one. One piece on top of each one. Each of your little mini pies. You want to put a piece of butter on there. And since I did forget, what we're going to do is take a piece and put it right on top. And that'll just melt right down in there. Okay, one of the other things I wanted to show you Let's finish this one first. Okay. Put that little piece on there and just pinch it. Pinch it closed. Press this down. Pinch it closed right on top. And this is one of the ones we made. Larry and I made some, I don't know, about a week ago. And you can take these pieces. So you don't have to use the cutter. If you don't have the cutter, that's perfectly fine. Just slice you up some pieces, just like you're doing a regular pie. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Of course, you can see that these are not perfect. But yeah, so you can just lay the little strips across and put it right on the end, just like you would do a regular pie. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but these taste, they may not look beautiful, they may not look perfect, but they taste amazing. Okay, we've got a couple more of these. This is done with the little metal pastry cutter, and it cuts some little lines in there. And you can just put that right on top and seal it down. And you say, well, how did you get that size? How did you measure? Okay, I measured the cups. They measured 3.5 inches, and then we do the top the same way, so you can have a little bit to go over, and then you just pinch the sides together. And what I use is just a jar right out of my kitchen. I had a glass. You can use a jar, whatever measures your 3.5 inches. Okay, and then we're going to take one more, and this is another one made with the pie crust cutter. Put that piece over there and just pinch them down. And the reason that we actually cook the apples first is because if you didn't cook the apples, you'll have to let this bake longer in the oven, and you don't want to do that, because these right here, when you bake them in the oven past anything beyond 20 minutes, it actually gets it too brown. And that's why you see I've got these two pieces of paper here. So what we're going to do, we've already preheated the oven to 375. I'm going to cover this pan. This helps prevent your crust from browning too much. And you're just going to walk over here and put it in the oven. This will keep it from browning. And you can just keep that on there the whole time. And this one over here, I have my knife and I want to put some holes in here. And then we'll just plop that butter right on top. Okay. And then just put a little butter right on top. That's going to melt right down in there. And you want to put this in the oven, and you want to remember, do not let this cook beyond 20 minutes. You only want it to cook 20 minutes. You don't want it to cook the same length of time that a regular pie, apple pie, would cook, because it'll be overdone, because we already cooked our apples a little bit. But I'm going to let this cook, set my timer for 20 minutes. And then I'll come back and I'll show it to you, and then I'll show you what we do at the end. Stay tuned. Okay, guys, the one final thing that I like to do to my apple pies, sometimes I put the egg wash on it, sometimes I don't. The reason I don't like the egg wash is because it actually browns a little bit more than I want, and it's a little bit harder than I want. But this right here, this is right out of the oven. This will melt because it is very warm, very hot actually. And then I'll let them cool enough to eat. But I like to put a little butter on the top of mine. And that's what I'm going to do here. But as you can see, these miniature, and that's what they are, miniature apple pies. And it's nice, lightly browned, and they are delicious. And one other thing I want you to remember, you can spray your pans, but don't use the nonstick olive oil. I tried that, and the nonstick spray does not taste good. So just take you some butter, melt it, and then you can grease your muffin pan or your muffin tin with the butter. It gives it a lot better flavor. But there you have it. Miniature apple pies for the holiday, for something your children might enjoy, or just taking over for parties. Thank you very much for watching. Merry Christmas. And if you like this video, you will see on the end of this video, the whipped cream, the homemade that goes with this apple pie. Like and subscribe. Don't forget. Happy holidays. Bye now. Hello guys. As I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to show you how to make whipped topping, just like the whipped topping you buy in the store. And it's very, very simple, just in case you don't have any on hand, or you just want to make your own, because I think that personally it tastes better. All you're going to need is actually 2 ingredients. That is 16 ounces of whipped cream. This is going to give you 16 ounces of whipped topping. And you will need 1/2 cup of sugar, which is what I have here. And what you're going to do now is beat your sugar and whipped topping until it forms stiff peaks. And that's going to take you anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes to do that. So just, play it by sight. Once it starts to getting your stiff peaks, then you can stop. Okay, I just wanted you to see the consistency after 5 minutes, so you got a little bit more to go. So we're going to let that go probably about 2 or 3 more minutes, and then I'll bring you back so you can see what it looks like. But there's one other thing that I wanted to mention to you. One of the important things, because I've had this happen to me and it didn't turn out very well. Take your whatever amount of the whipped topping that you're going to use, and place it in the refrigerator with the 2 beaters inside of a bowl. I'm using a glass bowl because that actually gets cold faster, and just stick it inside of the freezer for about 30 minutes, and it whips up so much better and so much faster. Okay, we're going to continue, and I'll come back in about 2 or 3 more minutes and let you see what it looks like. Okay, as you can see, we've got lots of stiff peaks in here. It's nice and whipped up. And that did take me about 8.5 minutes, I think, because I've got the full 16 ounces. But if you have less, and with this different recipes, you can actually take less time. But that is a perfect whipped cream. And I want you to know, look at that. It is delicious. I love homemade whipped cream. There is nothing like it. Now, I know that takes a few minutes to whip that up, but I assure you there's nothing better than the homemade whipped topping. But again, if you want to just purchase your Cool Whip topping from the grocery store, that's perfectly fine. And a lot of people do that. And that's just to shorten the time so you don't have so much work to do. But this is really a great, great recipe. So if you like these videos, please, guys, like and subscribe. And have a great holiday, Thanksgiving and Christmas, if I don't see you again.